This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's worst 250 movies so you don't have to.
I'm Michelle St. Clair.
I'm Abigail Ward.
And this week we watched Devil's Due. After a mysterious lost night on their honeymoon, a newlywed couple finds themselves dealing with an earlier than planned pregnancy. Let's watch.
Hey.
How are you, Abigail? I never return the question.
Oh my god, true.
Oh my god, true.
I'm alright, you know. I'm a married woman now.
Yeah. Now we've talked about
so
that.
all of my interests revolve around my husband.
Oh yeah.
And minding the house, and there's a lot to do.
I assume he, in many ways, like disappoints you, but you love him anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very emotionally distant and cold, and I'm
Yeah.
always trying to coerce a bit of affection out of him. And yeah, but he's, the light of my life, and I don't know where I'd be without him.
Wow.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes, and sometimes, he does get a bit physical, but
Oh my god.
that's my lot in life.
Abby, are you okay?
Oh, I'm great, Michelle.
When you say physical, you mean in like the Olivia Newton-John sense, right? Like he's a big exerciser. This is dark. This is too dark. Let's pull up. Hey, we got another email.
Oh my god.
I am not going to read out the whole thing because it's a very long email, which I loved. It is long and filled with righteous indignation. So it's exactly the sort of email that I love to get. Mm-hmm. However, it is part. I wanted to read it out both because it's fun when people send things in, but also because we've been hosting this for a while and we've said a lot of stupid shit. I haven't.
Maybe you have, but I think I stand by everything I've said on this podcast. 2 years of insight.
I haven't been
knowledge.
more thoroughly and aggressively criticized for anything I've said more than me defending the Artemis Fowl movie.
It wasn't a good movie, Michelle. It shocked me as well.
I've never been so thoroughly critiqued on my work before.
What happened?
No, I mean, not just this email, but
In general.
many of our friends and fans have messaged me being like, I hate that movie.
It did
movie
suck.
sucks."
It did.
My opinion was like, if I was 7, I would think it was cool.
But even if I was 7, I would think the first 30 minutes was exciting and the rest was gibberish.
We don't need to rehash this, all right? I'm willing to as the youths once said, take the L and just go, all right, I was wrong on Artemis Fowl, all right?
Is taking the L like taking the high road? Or like
taking the L is taking the loss.
taking the loss?
Like L is for losing and W.
So they don't mean like the L train in Chicago.
No, it's like
Right.
it's like here's your like it makes more sense written out, especially because it'll be like, and this guy deserves a W, and it usually means like this guy deserves a win.
Right. So you're taking the loss. Okay.
I feel like when I read just a W, I read it as win, but when it's an L, I just read it as L, which is meant to be loss.
Deleted TikTok and like barely go on Twitter. I'm lost to the world. I'm losing touch. I'm taking the L.
You're taking the L.
I'm L-ing touch. Does that work?
What? Yeah, no, not really.
Fuck.
Anyway, so this email, I'm going to read out some of it. This was from someone. Hi, I recently discovered your podcast, went on a binge, and I'm greatly enjoying it. And then you did Artemis Fowl, one of my favorite books turned into one of my most hated movies. Even Abigail's 3.8 for the movie is insultingly high. So, you're not spared from this. So this feels like as good a time as any to send in a rambly email testing your commitment to read all fan mail.
Fuck.
I wanted to read out 2 parts in particular. One was just this bit, mostly talking about like the behind the scenes and what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I find the behind-the-scenes mess so much more intriguing than the Artemis Fowl movie itself. There clearly existed a more faithful cut that got butchered during the reshoots. The troubled production was never a secret, so when the movie came out, I went on a deep dive trying to uncover the original pre-shoot version of the film. And with the help of movie tie-in books, deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes looks, and blooper reels, here's the best version I've managed to uncover. Artemis Sr., who was never actually seen in the movie, is kidnapped, and the unnamed kidnapper calls Artemis Jr., demanding a ton of fairy gold. Following the hints in his father's postcards, Artemis goes to Vietnam, where he extorts a fairy out of her Bible containing the fairy laws. Armed with the book, Artemis captures Holly, who is about to perform a ritual to regain her magic after a troll fight. Leprechaun surrounds the foul manor. Holly buries a smuggled-in acorn, regains her magic, and escapes the cell, trapping Juliet in it. Mulch Diggums tunnels in and finds the Aculos in the manor, revealing the fathers of Artemis and Holly work together so they make peace and team up. The group beats the trolls sent in, and Holly heals the mortally wounded butler. Lep pays the ransom, but Artemis gives half of the gold back as a payment for Holly to cure his mother's mental illness. Lep launches a biobomb into the manor, but Artemis and co. escape by forcibly falling asleep. Lep leaves as the time stop violently collapses, and Artemis calls the hooded figure to tell him he is coming for his father. The end. So it sounds like it was a lot more faithful to the book originally. That at least has the dad not in it, and it's about the mum as well.
Yeah.
It's still like kind of merging things together, but
I just love how much this person has obsessed over this. This is what I like about our podcast, is that it really attracts people that also have a niche fascination with the production hell behind several terrible movies. It's a very special place to be with you all.
Nothing makes me happier than when people send things in and I realize that we have curried the exact sort of audience that I've always hoped.
Yeah, and a lot of the time the audience know more than us about these films, and I'm like, fuck, you should host. You should have done that episode.
No. God, come on, man, I need this. I'm out of a job. I won't read this bit out fully, but they also said that they were a fan of random data and did a random sampling of the episodes they've listened to. And our thesis is right. There does seem to be an upward trend, and our average has risen from around 2.5 to 3.8 during the 100 or so episodes.
God, how does that happen? The rating is literally getting lower and ours is going higher. What's going on?
To be fair, I think if you look back through the last 6 movies or
they have been pretty fun.
They've been pretty good.
And I mean, I think today might break that streak.
Yeah.
But, we've been on a great roll.
We have. It's been delightful, especially since the break. I've been like, holy shit, wow. With even Thunderbirds and even The Patriot was fun.
Flags of Hindustan and Food Fight were a real
absolutely
peak for me.
So I am, to pivot, so upset that we have been on such a hot streak. It reminded me exactly what I love about bad movies, what I love about doing the podcast. And then this week we watched Devil's Due.
We did. Also, thank you for the email, whoever.
Oh, thank you to the email
this.
MR.
MR.
I'm so... Listen, if you're someone who... If you're an old listener... You know...
Do you mean like a listener that's listened for a while, or just an old person that listens?
Either works.
Okay, all right.
But really, if you've been listening for a while, you know that the quintessential rating descending experience is not you can't get a food fight. I think that's one of our best episodes without a Devil's Due. I can't think of a movie more appropriate to absolutely ruin a fucking hot streak than another fucking found footage
man.
Horror movie.
Found footage, that term is banned on this podcast now. I feel like we're not allowed to say it. Every time we say banned, found footage, we have to go beep beep.
I'm
make it happen.
I will. All right. I'll have to. All right. Now I'll have to do that. I'll have to censor.
Just to add a bit of extra work for you.
Yeah. I'll have to add in every single time we say it. But
it's just this. It's a horrible genre. It's trashy and it's lazy, and it's always about usually just a woman in particular becoming possessed by something demonic.
Yes.
But men love making movies about women getting possessed, because women are meant to be angelic and saint-like, and they're so sweet and soft, but now they're scary because they're corrupted by something evil inside of them.
It's also I think it's the protagonist, so it could be anybody, but consequently it's the most milquetoast, bland, waspy, middle to upper middle class people.
That guy that played the lead character, we used to play celebrity heads a lot, Michelle and I. And something that we found was that the best way to make the game difficult was to go for the most bland, white, brunette, male actor that we could possibly think of, because it would take ages to get to the bottom of it.
I will say, for anyone out there, we have gotten so good at celebrity heads.
Yeah.
We I introduced to my housemate, we did a road trip from Melbourne to Sydney and back.
Yeah.
Our version of it, because it's slightly different, because we kept doing celebrity heads.
But the thing is, we also have a lot of overlap in the celebrities that we know.
But the areas that are different is too stark. So if it was politicians or historical figures, it's there's the chance of not knowing, but also it's kind of easier to hone in as well as, so we found we would too regularly like pick actors.
Yeah.
And then the fastest way to figure out an actor is if they have like a key movie, figure out the movie.
There was this one time that Michelle's, like the answer was Mike Myers, but I was certain it was Jim Carrey because the overlap is surprisingly vigorous.
The similarities between their
insane.
career arc, especially centered around The Grinch and Cat in the Hat, shockingly identical.
Yeah, shockingly identical. One time, my answer was Katie Holmes, and Michelle just couldn't get it because she's so generic and bland. It was a great choice.
I never think about Katie Holmes as a person until someone says Katie Holmes.
Why would you?
But nowadays, we just do the movie straight up, and then you get a lot easier. Like, rather than it's like it has to be strict yes or no, like expand it out a little. Like, it should still be a yes or no question, but you can add a little more spice on the answer.
Yeah. Okay, wait, let's do one right now. I'm thinking of someone.
Okay. Are they American?
Yes.
Are they a man?
Yes.
Yeah, always. Every time. Do they have like one key big movie?
They've got a couple.
Are they still acting?
Yeah.
Are they like an A-lister?
Yeah.
Are they mostly a modern actor, like post-2000s?
Around that time.
Around that time?
Yeah.
So are they at the peak of their career now?
No.
So they're well past their peak?
Yes.
Was their peak then the late 90s, early 2000s then?
Yeah, roughly.
Right. And so they're at this point over 50? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. At that time, were they a leading man or a character actor?
Leading man.
The longer it's taking for me to get it, the more the likelihood of me just cutting it out goes up and up and up.
No, the listeners are playing along.
They're not here to listen to us play celebrity heads.
But I am. I'm ready for this. This is fun.
That's what you're here for?
Yeah. I was waiting to play this game.
You were waiting for us to record so that we could play celebrity heads?
Yeah.
Can you just tell me who it is? I really want to keep talking about the movie.
Oh, no, I'm keen to play this game for the next 50 minutes. You're never going to get it.
Please don't do this to me.
Ethan Hawke.
Is Ethan? Never would have gotten
exactly.
Ethan Hawke. I never would have gotten
and
Ethan
it's like, that's the same. It's
hard.
the Katie Holmes effect.
Yeah.
It's literally like he's really popular, and when you realize it's Ethan Hawke, you're like, oh, of course it is. But it's like you would never choose.
I could have gotten it on a road trip. Would not have gotten it right now.
No. You would have needed like another
Linklater, right?
Richard Linklater. It would have taken you like another 40 minutes.
Oh, for sure. That's why I'm like, there's no way we can keep going with this.
I just wanted to prove my point. You can go for like A-list celebrities, and you will never get them. Sometimes
if it's a brunette man who's been in more than 10 movies, it's really hard.
Or even a brunette woman, Katie Holmes again.
Listen, if you're a new listener, say you just heard the ha-has of Highlander 2 or a Food Fight, and you're like, all right, I'll start at some of the later stuff, and you're here. Just know that like, this is the podcast experience, is that sometimes we, unlike other bad movie podcasts, we don't have the luxury of choosing good movies to talk about.
No, sometimes we get thrown in the shit end of the river without a stick to paddle.
We get little piggy slop fed to us in a bucket, and then everyone has to watch as we go, but we are not pigs. I'm on my hands and knees eating from the slop bucket going, please, sir, please. And our contractual owner is standing over us going, I'm sorry, you got to eat from the pig bucket.
Well, in the way that Lawrence Kasanoff was monitored by a man in a black suit with glasses by his production company, we've got two men standing behind us in suits and glasses with a gun to the back of our heads. So welcome to the podcast. This is who we are. This is what we do,
Hey, it's
trapped here every week.
It's so good you're here.
Eternal coil.
I just can't flashbacks to Spookums in April, where I feel like keen-eared listeners would be able to tell, boy, they need a break.
Yeah, Spookums in April was a tough time. That was us making the best of a terrible situation.
I have in my notes, like the first thing I wrote down while watching this, it took less than 5 minutes for me to remember how miserable this podcast is sometimes.
Yes.
It's just been so
deep,
fun
dark
recently.
place.
I was like, sometimes it is just this.
I know what you mean. Like Thugs of Hindustan, I was like, this is fantastic. 3 hours went by like that. This was an hour and 27 minutes, and I felt every minute keenly.
Surely this was longer.
This was, oh my God, it went for an eternity. There was a literal scene where they're just opening presents, like their wedding presents, and I was like, we don't need to be here right now. I don't want to watch like 2 or 3 minutes of this couple opening their Christmas presents. Yeah,
well, especially since I'll get into some of it, but like the way it sets up the spookies in these kind of movies really irritates me, because it's both the complete opposite way to dramatically create tension in a film, as well as being just the least interesting possible thing. Like there's a bit where a woman is doing the ultrasound and they're like, look at the baby. She's like, she's not going, wait, what? What's that? She's going like, oh yeah, your baby seems good and healthy. And then the screen like flickers for a moment. And then she goes, that's weird. And I'm like, ooh, spooky. Whoa,
oh my goodness.
Ultrasound flickered. Come on.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear me to get into the key details?
Yes.
Key Details. This came out in 2014, directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, who I'll get into more in just a second.
Tyler Gillette.
But not with the E in the end, so not like the shaving.
Oh, Gillette.
It was starring Alison Miller and Zach Gilford, who were described as notable people, and then I've never heard of them, never seen them before.
Have they been in anything since?
I mean, I looked it up and it didn't even seem notable enough to write down.
Because this was 2014, right?
2014.
Yeah.
Budget $7 million and it made $36.9 million.
It's not a bad return at all.
No.
Why do people fucking eat this shit up?
I mean, it bummed me out so much. As I was watching it, I was like halfway through, my housemate came up and she said, why are you watching that ugly thing? And I had to say, I'm like, this made $37 million.
It's like every time we come across these found footage films, they make bank. Like, especially like the ones that
well,
are like
not Area 51.
Not Area 51, but a lot of them make so much money because people love it. And they think it's genuinely spooky.
Meanwhile, Screen Australia, if someone from Screen Australia is listening, I'd love to talk and have I'm such a big fan. But famously, they don't like genre and think that horror won't sell, even though that's the one genre that even in small local markets consistently sells.
Yeah.
The horror movie is replacing the short as like the director's calling card. And we
some
just
of our
don't
horror
want to
films
make
have
them.
been the best-selling horror films that we've had. Like, the best-selling films that we've had, like fucking like Wolf Creek and even like Snowtown. Like these horrible true crime-related stories. People lap this shit up. They like it.
Even the more like recent like Wormwood, which is more of like comedy horror, but that ended up getting a show.
The Babadook.
Oh, Babadook. Yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Every time we do horror, people love it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Although
just make it better.
Babadook was produced here or anything.
What?
Was it? Wasn't it?
It's Jennifer Kent.
Yeah, I know it's directed by Jennifer Kent.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, Abby, I think you're mistaken. We don't fund movies by Australian directors. They have to go overseas for that shit.
That makes sense. Yeah.
There are 2 returning actors, 2 Rating Descending All-Stars.
No.
There's Amy Carrero, who was, I don't know, one of the, I think Susie, who at the end gets killed.
Yeah.
She was in The Squeakquel as a character called Emily.
Wow.
Yeah. As well, there was I looked through every actor and I saw towards the bottom, I think he played the priest, but I'm going to look it up right now just to double check. Oh, no, the police officer. The police officer in the movie was played by a guy called Michael Papajohn. There's no space, just Papajohn. Michael Papajohn, who was in Jonah Hex as one of the Saber Guard, apparently,
Right.
and superhero movie as a robber.
Wow.
Says his credit.
Wow.
So really
Third appearance.
sneaking from behind someone who's just been
Michael Papajohn, I hope he dominates the list.
featured
as
extra in a lot of movies.
That's amazing.
You go, Michael Papajohn. I hope we can get him on for an episode.
Oh, me too.
And I added here, we've started doing sometimes production stuff here because there's nothing interesting to talk about in this movie. I looked up a whole bunch of production stuff to potentially talk about because we've got to talk about something.
Oh, we've got to have something.
So I mentioned it was directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. So Matt Bettinelli-Olpin started working in the mailroom of New Line Cinema and making found footage shorts known as Pranks Gone Wrong in a collective known as Chad, Matt, and Rob.
I hate all of them.
Often
Chad, Matt, and Rob. You can all go to hell.
Often staying after hours at New Line to film it there and stuff.
I bet they were the worst. I just have to, I can tell they were the worst guys.
Well, the thing that happened to Chad, Matt, and Rob is that Rob left and Tyler Gillette and Justin Marinez joined, so they reformed as Radio Silence. And their debut was the 10/31/98 segment of the first VHS that premiered at Sundance in 2012.
Right.
Yeah, which we should say, we didn't talk about it in the VHS viral episode, is technically V/H/S.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know why. That was in 2012. Then in, of course, 2014 and 15, Devil's Due and Southbound, which was also like an anthology horror that they directed, I think, a segment of, were released. Two similar sort of like, reviews. Yeah. However, in 2019, Bettinelli Olpin and Gillette were hired to direct Ready or Not, a black comedy horror about a newlywed being hunted by her spouse's wealthy Satan-worshipping family as part of a wedding night ritual.
Sounds shit.
Which I didn't watch, but I remember when it came out because the trailer was like, this looks kind of fun.
Really?
Because instead of doing the thing of like, oh my God, where it's like clearly taking after Saw but trying to make it action-y, it's comedic, you know? And
forgive me if I'm skeptical. It's just we're here.
It got decent reviews, like 8 out of 10s,
wow.
Some 9 out of 10s, you know, because it's the thing of like, oh, you know, the rich being Satan worshipping and hunting them down. Like, you know, there's a lot of like thematic ground there. So instead of it being a film about nothing, there's actually, you know, a film. I know people that liked that movie, so I don't want to berate it. And then
I will. Fuck you guys. I can just tell you're the worst.
But then a few years later, the pair helmed the 5th installment of the Scream franchise, Scream.
No way. I love that they just called it Scream again.
It's really funny to say the 5th Scream movie, Scream.
It's called Scream. It's so stupid.
And they're coming back for the next one as well. And people liked that one too. That one I think was more divisive, but a lot of people really liked it. So
interesting.
I haven't seen it, so I don't want to say either way. But like,
fair.
So they're apparently not bad directors.
I'm sorry. I'm just skeptical about groups of men that specialize in found footage horror films.
But they didn't specialize. They did it 2 times, you know, and since
unfortunately,
then have done not that.
Here we are.
Yeah, I know. We're still here.
But I'm resentful that this director has landed us in this position where he's made this film and now we have to talk about it. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's true. I do think we should hold him personally responsible for that, for us having to watch
it. 100%. I've never held the director personally responsible for me having to sit right here at this table right now, but today is the day.
This is it.
What's his name again? Michael Bettinelli?
Matt Bettinelli Olpin.
Fuck you, Matt. Fuck you.
No. We're not letting Tyler Gillette get out of this. No,
Tyler. Give me that tasty overview, baby.
All right. Young couple Zach and Samantha head to the Dominican Republic for their honeymoon. However, during their stay, they have several strange run-ins with psychics and fortune tellers before a seemingly friendly cab driver takes them to a local club. While there, they are drugged and a ritual is performed. Weeks later, and back at home, neither of them remember the night, but find that Sam is now pregnant, despite her insistence that she takes birth control religiously. Though shocked, the couple embrace the pregnancy. During the pregnancy, Sam grows increasingly agitated, showing strange periods of rage and the feeling that they are being watched. 8 months later, after watching a priest vomit blood and declare Sam's child a gateway for the Antichrist, Zach investigates the nearby abandoned house and discovers evidence of a cult monitoring them. He later finds Sam at their mostly destroyed home in a trance-like state before she cuts the baby out of her. As she dies, the cult appears and takes the glowing red baby away. It's too hot, you know, leaving a grief-stricken Zach framed for Sam's death. Later, we see another young couple in Paris being offered a lift by the very same cab driver. Yeah.
I loved the weird addition of these masked men just like surrounding the house and watching them all the time and setting up for no reason just cameras in the house so that we had more found footage to be able to view it through. It was so the anger in me. I feel seething at the moment. I'm seething about this.
You're seething?
I'm seething.
I would have mistaken you for the baby because you're piping hot with how angry you are.
Oh, you didn't come out of your mother's vagina glowing in red? What color were you? Green. I was purple.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Couldn't breathe?
Yeah.
Really bruised.
Quarter around my
Mother
neck
shook around a lot.
Explains why I came out like this. Not to go on a tangent, because you know I love a tangent.
I do know you love a tangent.
And I've been full of tangents already today. Yeah. But
you fully tried to play celebrity heads in the middle of our episode.
I did. You know, like with like serial killers, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because I've been listening to a lot of Case File, as I've mentioned. With serial killers, in terms of head injuries, apparently, like I think what I've come to realize is that there is a triumvirate of factors that creates a serial killer. One is a head injury that you get when you're a kid. One is having an alcoholic father, and the other is torturing animals. You do those three things in your childhood, you're set to be a serial killer. That's the holy triangle, the triumvirate, if you will.
Here's the thing. Do you think that's what makes a serial killer, or what makes a serial killer who gets caught?
Ooh.
Because like there's a lot of hay made around the fact that we have spent a lot of time going like, these serial killers, they're fucking geniuses, and then you hear about their crimes and you're like, oh, the police are just fucking incompetent. Holy shit. These guys are idiots. We just didn't care about finding
a lot of serial
them.
Killers aren't smart at all.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them aren't very good at covering their tracks. I feel like if anything, a good serial killer is one that you can't actually tell is a serial killer.
Yeah, it's one who was
disconnected crimes.
I wasn't dropped. If anything, I was constantly on pillows by my loving father.
Nestled by my father, giving little kisses from my father.
I love my little poochie. I'd never hurt him. I've killed 35 people.
Anyway, I was dropped on the head as a child, hence.
Oh God. Anyway. This movie, it was really hard to describe the third act. Like anyone who has watched it would be like, is that what happened? Not really. I kind of like had to merge together a lot of events.
They love shadows because then they can get away with not having to show as much. Like I feel like the problem with is, of course, it is like a lazy medium. It is. It's just a lazy format of film.
Yeah.
Because you can get away with not showing things. They drop the camera at an opportune moment.
It doesn't have to be though. Right? Because you get things like, there's like Chronicle and Cloverfield, which are at least like better movies. Cloverfield was fun. Yeah, right? This is what I mean. Like, they don't have to be lazy.
But these ones are lazy.
Yes.
They always drop the camera right when you want to see something. It's always turned away for a big reveal. Like, it's just...
I stand by, like, I was thinking back a lot to Paranormal Activity. My main problem is, like, literally on a cinematic language level. It's trading... using the art form to communicate suspense for the assumption that because it's shot like real footage, that counts, that replaces the need to show it dramatically.
Yeah.
Like in like Paranormal Activity, where it will be like a shot of nothing for like 2 minutes and then a knife and then a drawer closes. And you're like, that's not spooky. You didn't make it spooky. It's just an empty shot.
There's a scene where like Samantha, pregnant, is like going to the supermarket. So the footage is like the security footage of her at the supermarket. And you just see her staring at meat for a while. And then she grabs a pack of it, opens it, and eats it raw. And that's meant to be just a spooky moment. What's she doing?
Someone just like downing ground beef could be like a spooky moment, I feel like in like there's that movie Raw, which I didn't watch because I can't handle that kind of movie, but my girlfriend watched it and really liked it.
Yeah.
Like someone like hunching over and like eating meat and like the sound and stuff, that could be like really oh my God, almost like gross out.
Yeah.
And instead what we got is a shot that is like 3 full fucking minutes from so far away. We're barely in it. We can't hear it of a woman looking at meat and then a minute of her just like snacking on it.
Yeah.
It barely counts. It's not anything. That's not scary. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
And there's a scene later as she becomes more overcome by this demonic baby that she's growing inside of her. She starts to get telekinetic powers.
Yeah.
And she's able to just look at people and kind of toss them into the air, which I have to say is never interesting or scary because, in my opinion, it's never interesting or scary because it means that the person has no chance of fighting back. And so there's no, oh, will they be able to do this or that? It's just, no, she'll get them. She'll just throw them into the air with her mind.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what can make something like a monster movie like Nope really great, is that it seems like an insurmountable, unbeatable thing, and so then the challenge is escaping it and overcoming it. But
there has to be a couple of rules around it that you establish of like, this is the way they could get around it, like setting up the idea of how you could defeat it is interesting for the viewer. But for us, it's like, cool, she's just going to annihilate these kids with her mind after she's eaten a raw animal in a field.
I will say, though, I have in my notes like that bit that you're thinking of where she's just like found munching on a deer really strangely by just like 3 rando kids.
Yeah.
Because she
who
just
happened to be filming. Always.
No
one questions the camera in this.
That's actually a thing I'll get into because that's more intentional in this one.
Okay.
But that the other 2 die, whatever. But the guy who's holding the camera is running, and then we see his legs running, and then suddenly they're like running through the air, and then he's up in the air, and then he falls. That I was like, that's kind of neat. I haven't seen that in a film. Where like normally you see it of someone else that's just suddenly floating and then going,
Yeah.
but like
It was
the
fun to
running
see
and
it
then
from
up in
his
the air.
perspective. But again, the
that's neat.
threat of it wasn't interesting because I was like, you're just going to die.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It like dramatically it's not
Yeah.
engaging, but it's like that's kind of cool.
Even if it was like, oh my God, she's got telekinetic powers, but only if she's doing this certain activity or is in this area, or she only has a scope of this amount. So we've got to outrun her, or else if she gets too close, she'll do it. Like, even that's more interesting.
Yeah.
Setting up the idea that you could escape it and then not escaping it. But if you're just like, cool, she's just going to fling them into the air and kill them. I hated it. I fucking hated this film.
Well, look, I've got some like production history here to like contextualize
Please.
some of it. So one of the things, the decision was made by the filmmakers to move the movie away from the previous found footage tropes, such as the use of a framing device, a linear narrative, and a non-recognizable cast, and into a story.
Hey, they're always non-recognizable casts.
Yeah, I mean, this was
Every
still
found footage
non-recognizable.
film has like the shittiest cast you can imagine.
Which I guess is meant to be intentional, but it never feels like it. And this is a quote, into a story told through cameras that exist in the world of the characters, much like Chronicle. This is demonstrated throughout, including the deliberate absence of a framing device, the use of an animated opening quote, a recognizable cast, which I don't agree with, a non-chronological narrative structure. I don't know when it's not in order, though.
Yeah, it's always in order.
And a final music cue that is playing in the taxi becomes the end credit song. I don't know why that counts as like a unique thing either. But
I hated that they ended it with Oogum Boogum. I like that song.
I like that song too.
I was like, you've cheapened that song.
It's one of those moments that I'm like, this is like a fun and cool thing, but it feels like when I've seen like students do something like that where I'm like, I know exactly like the film you're ripping that from.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like,
I
it
know
is-
that you've like, yeah, that was, this is what I was thinking of with Barbarian. The end of Barbarian had that vibe. They ended it on a Ronettes song, and it was meant to be that ironic kind of like fun, hip, like 60s R&B song to finish it on. And I was like, fuck you. You've watched too much Tarantino.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean, if it's Ronettes, especially, that's Scorsese.
yeah, definitely Scorsese.
Another thing, Bettinelli, Olpen, and Gillette had been approached by several other companies for haunted house projects, but chose to work on Devil's Due over the other projects because they felt that the script was a character-based creepy mood piece that focused on the deteriorating relationship between its two main characters. In an interview, the director said they focused on Zack and Samantha's love story from day one and the horror of watching the person you love degenerate and being left helpless beyond continuing to love them unconditionally. The thing that I think is always fascinating about these movies is the way the directors describe them is so much more interesting than the movie we watch.
Oh, that's what you thought happened. Oh, that was your intention. Oh.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're right. And like this like relationship like breaking down, like watching someone you love just like fall apart. Yeah, that is kind of tragic and interesting.
If only we could have experienced that too.
That's not really the movie, but like,
not. I think there's some really nice moments between the two characters, like that feel very natural. Like there's that bit where they're at the doctor's office for the first time when she's getting her ultrasound done, and they're making a joke about how there's like a graph on the wall that has like, it has 4 pictures, but it's like the 3 stages of pregnancy. And they were joking, being like, I hope the doctor can count, blah, blah, blah. Like that felt nice and natural. But like the actors didn't do a bad job. It was just shit.
But like,
it was just shit.
that's gonna have like drama around it.
Yes.
There's got to be a movie around that.
There was too much of them being happy and bonding. And
If it's just like, oh my God, it's the same thing as every fucking one of these movies where the opening 10 minutes is just them living their life. And I'm like, I can't.
beautiful wife.
I can't.
We're getting married tomorrow.
This isn't a movie. This is someone's home videos. And I just, it's not interesting.
You could have started it straight after that. You could have started in the Dominican Republic, being like, we're on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
We just got married.
I will say I did appreciate that most of the time these movies, literally nothing happens until like 60 minutes in.
Yeah.
And at the very least, she started
Always.
getting agitated 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
It still wasn't engaging,
You
but it was
expect
like,
it. You're like, okay, so the first half is just going to be set up. Great.
yeah.
Here we go.
Well, hey, another thing, the cast and crew shot the 27 locations in 4.5 days while in the Dominican Republic.
Wow.
You know it's a short turnaround when you include a half day.
Yeah.
Like, I love that they shot 4 days and then like the next day finished at 12 and they're like, I guess we shot the movie.
All right, wrapped for lunch.
Everyone go home. We did. That's a
fuck
wrap,
out,
guys.
yeah.
I've been on shorts that had longer shoots than that. Now I'm like, why? Why did I take so long to shoot everything?
Well, if Devil's Due could do this in 4.5 days, it's a new benchmark.
I guess it's probably pretty easy when you just don't have to fucking shoot anything other than people just sort of hanging out.
Oh, I fucking hate this film. I fucking hate film. Beep that again. You got to censor that.
Yes.
I don't want anyone hearing these words, these cursed words.
Much of the film's criticism centered upon the film's similarity to other films such as Rosemary's Baby and Paranormal Activity, an element that FearNet reviewer Scott Weinberg, who I'm pretty sure is a rating-descending all-star for his scripts, remarked was likely more due to decisions by the film's production company than anything else. Weinberg called the movie a darkly passionate homage to Rosemary's Baby. The similarities are both intentional and affectionate. However, since the film's release, the film has found a cult following, and director Eli Roth has been vocal in his support of the film, and in a series of posts on his Twitter account, wrote, "Don't prejudge Devil's Due because Rosemary's Baby is a holy grail movie. It's so smart, creative, inventive, and fun. Very, very scary. The guys at Radio Silence killed it. Devil's Due is a legit, scary, smart horror film. So many awesome scenes. I loved it."
My neck is sore from how much I've shaken my head throughout this entire record. Fuck you, Eli Roth. You just have terrible taste and you made shit movies. I'm getting angry.
Yeah, I mean, a recurring thread of this movie
why.
is that... Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit hangry at the moment.
A recurring thread on this podcast is that whilst Eli Roth has never had a movie on it, Eli Roth is the villain.
You're so trashy, Eli Roth. Go hang.
I mean, we have had to reconcile with the fact that at the beginning of this year, we went pretty hard on Ty West, only for by the end of the year, like X and Pearl have become some of the more critically acclaimed indie films of the year, and people are hailing him.
You can turn it around. That's something we've learnt in this podcast.
I just feel like such a fool. We went so hard on this
fucking guy.
We really did.
And didn't we? I speculated that Ty West was like a hunky Eurasian man.
Yeah.
And he was just a white dude.
I said I reckoned he was a Barry Jenkins type.
Yeah.
He's a white guy. Or I think he's Jewish.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know for sure. To quote the end of Food Fight, and he was Jewish. Do you want to hear some trivia?
Yes. I'm glad we've taken that line away from Food Fight.
All right, so there wasn't that much
shocking.
Trivia. Yeah.
Crazy.
Especially not like interesting trivia.
You're telling me that you struggled with this film a little bit in terms of the research and finding something interesting to talk about.
I did.
And you criticized celebrity heads. That was way more interesting.
I guess it was a game. The filmmakers have said they approached the movie as a creepy thriller and unsettling love story rather than a horror movie, which is how the film was marketed by Fox.
Oh, what the fuck? What are they talking about?
Who knows?
It was.
Who knows? The script had been pitched to them as a found footage take on Rosemary's Baby, but the directors wanted to find ways to make their movie different from the 1968 film that they praise and consider a personal favorite. This included instilling a fun energy throughout and a sense of humor into the script.
Right. Right.
I almost lost it when I read that because the last thing I would describe this movie.
Where was the humor?
Where's the fun energy?
Where was that?
There's
where did you hide
fun
it?
energy. At no point did I have
no
fun.
fun with this.
Fun was absent.
The fuck are you guys talking about? You are delusional.
This was a dark hole where fun which could be. Sense of humor. There were no chuckles.
I had not one giggle.
Mummy, you told me we were taking a trip to Ha Ha Land.
The little wheres were absent.
Instead, I am at the dentist.
I am lacking of this chuckle.
You promised me. And you have failed.
I hated this film.
And here's the last one. I'm going to count this as a weirdly written goof, even though it's not a goof. It's weirdly written trivia.
Okay.
There are numerous cult symbols hidden throughout the movie.
Did they elaborate?
Nope, that's
Great.
it. That's the whole piece of trivia.
I believe them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as well as... Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course there is.
It's about the Antichrist.
It's pretty explicit.
Yeah.
It's pretty explicitly part of the movie. Which, by the way, just to backtrack out of our trivia for a second, the priest implies that he said it's a gateway for the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And they succeed. They have a red hot demon baby.
Yeah, and then they have like a portal that she creates to... I mean, they always succeed in the found footage films. Everyone always dies and the killer wins every time.
Yeah, but then the cab driver is getting another couple. Are they getting another Antichrist?
You need another... That's greedy.
Like, the Antichrist is back.
Yeah, don't you just need the one?
God, that's it.
There's only room for one Antichrist.
There only is one, right?
I don't think you can have two Antichrists at the same time.
If you do, Do they battle it out?
Oh my God. Or
Do
do
they
they fall
fight?
in love?
Do they kiss? Oh my
I'm
God.
here for that love story.
You're anti-cry or fighting and then kissing.
The
Enemies
anti-cry.
to lovers
Oh my God. Modern day Romeo and Juliet.
is the two anti-cry.
Yes.
I anti-cry every time. Do you want to hear some reviews?
Yes.
All right. So this has 18% on Rotten Tomatoes and 4.1 on IMDb.
Too high.
The Rotten Tomatoes consensus is derivative and mostly uninspired. Devil's Due adds little to either found or horror genres that it's content to mimic. I also found common criticism is aimed at the film's use of the found technique and asked the question, who assembled this footage?
Great question to ask.
However,
Who allowed this?
according to the film's directors, this was a deliberate choice.
Sure.
In quotes, audiences are way too smart to have the this is real wool pulled over their eyes anymore. And much like Chronicle, Devil's Due doesn't pretend to be footage that anyone has found or compiled. It's simply a story that is told through cameras that exist in the world.
Oh, so it's a footage film. I get it.
Yeah, it's just, that's nothing.
That's gibberish.
That's nothing.
Stop wasting our time.
Audiences are too smart for this genre to make sense.
I can't
So
fool
we
these
didn't-
people into...
We didn't bother.
You know when you watch a mockumentary and you're like, clearly it's not a documentary. Why bother?
Yeah.
I'll just make it a documentary.
You know what? Why bother? I was making a mockumentary and I was like, the audiences are too smart to think that this is a real doco. So I just made a regular movie.
I just want to throttle him. I have violent tendencies towards this man.
Here's an IMDb review titled A Really Good Fun Movie by Amber Julian. Finally, a movie. Oh my God.
Saved it for you.
You know, I fucking let you pass if you listen to the last few episodes, I've just
you've
totally ignored you.
You have.
No.
It
it's
makes
been
me... I actually
building.
like it more when you acknowledge that I've done the burp.
It's been fucking building.
I want like a little
okay?
pat on my shoulder.
I'm
when I do
over it.
you
I'm
know?
over it. All right. Little does the audience know we've recorded 9 of these in a row. That's not true. We've recorded 9 of these in a row, and I can't take it anymore, Abigail. Keep your burps inside. Finally, a movie that doesn't think the audience is stupid. This is an inspired, unique, and fun little bizarre movie that is pretty much unlike anything I've ever seen. It's a thriller and supernatural horror movie and a great love story all in one. The best parts are the small moments between the characters. Lots of little intentional, honest laughs from me, and the scares get under your skin. Not just a bunch of jump scares, which there are a bunch
There's
of.
a bunch of them, yeah.
But there are those, of course, too. I love that they don't pretend it's tapes for the police or some weird framing device to try and trick us. It's just a cool style of movie and not even really found footage. I could go on, but really, it's just a good, scary, fun movie. And it's so nice to actually care about the characters. Sam and Zach, played by Alison Miller and Zach Gilford, for a change. People are going to stuff this in the PA box. What? But they shouldn't.
What is that?
It's not that kind of movie at all.
Public announcement box? What is
Good
that?
stuff. 10 out of 10.
In what world is this film unique or special? It is honestly the exact same as every other found footage film we've seen.
I could barely pick it out of a lineup.
Yeah. And like I was grateful when it was over and I committed to knowing that I would discard any memory of this film in about 10 minutes time from now.
There's nothing I hope for more. This is an extra one I added in at the last minute, just because I couldn't get over one particular aspect about it. It's titled Don't Get Me Wrong by Jay Bennett. Yep, I know this one is not a 10 out of 10, but because the overall ratings are ridiculously low, I choose to give it a little push upwards. So many of them others. Right now, mid-November 2022, it's at 4.1, and that doesn't do this movie any justice. Good actors, good directing, good camera work. It is kind of and many people seem to dislike this subgenre of horror. But if you're into it, you might really enjoy it. The story is actually quite Rosemary's Baby style, but the only thing that matters to me is how much a movie made an impact on me. Uh-huh. This one was quite scary and made me feel uneasy, in a good way, like a horror movie should do. I felt sympathy for the main characters, and that is more that you can say of your average nowadays horror movie, where it is seemingly all about the kills, and not that you as the watcher feel sorry for what is happening to the victims.
The kills.
You just want to feel sorry for them. If you like this movie, go check out the other releases by the directors, e.g. their episodes in Southbound VHS or the new Scream movie. I give it a 7 or maybe even a 7.5 out of 10. But like I wrote in the beginning, to do this movie justice, I rated it as a 10. 10 out of 10. I just couldn't get over that it was from mid-November 2022.
Yeah.
I double checked. I wanted to see, like, do they have other legit reviews, or is this some disgruntled podcast listener who's sick of us slagging on found footage? And no, that's just someone who just watched it recently.
Wow.
Here's another one titled Unappreciated and Unfairly Reviewed by Flitz35. I've said it once and I'll say it again. There are way too many low-budget, straight-to-DVD horror movies that lose your interest within the first 10 minutes. Devil's Due entertained me the whole time and made me always wanting more. In today's day and age, there are many footage movies, and I've learned to accept and enjoy them. Problem is, with all the bad reviews, too much attention was paid on how the movie was directed, how the movie was shot, and how the movie was written, instead of just losing yourself for 90 minutes and let yourself be entertained by a mainstream horror flick that was in the theaters.
The whole time.
Bad reviews are like a domino effect. One bad review leads other people to also be negative on the movie, and instead of enjoying it, the viewer will pick on every little thing you think is wrong with the movie. 10 out of 10.
They were entertained the whole 87 minutes, the whole, like when they were when they were like unpackaging the Christmas presents and when they were dancing at their wedding.
Well, it's because they're not bothering to think, all these people
They're losing
nitpicking
themselves.
on how it's written and how it's shot and how it's directed. All these little nitpicks. Stop picking up on how the movie was made and instead just enjoy it.
I feel like I'm resentful that we have to give this film any of our time or effort.
I think some people legitimately would be entertained by just sitting down for 90 minutes.
Yeah, and losing themselves to the experience.
Like, I don't think the movie's part of it. I think if they just sat down for 90 minutes, they'd have a good time.
Yeah.
And so then they conflate the movie with that.
Yeah.
It's like if you watch it with a bunch of your friends while drunk and you're like, man, I love that movie. I had a great time. It's like, that's not a good movie.
Yeah.
Here's a really short one to end it on. A bit bloody for a comedy, but we had fan by Seth Silent Blade. Devil's Due is a good parody of movies like Rosemary's Baby and Paranormal Activity.
Parody?
At least we wanted to believe in that. 10 out of 10.
Such a confusing and cryptic review.
I'd like, maybe it's a bit. Their other reviews didn't suggest that they do
understand.
bits. But, you know, is your review going to be as cryptic as that? I don't know. Let's find out.
0.
0?
I'm not giving this film any more of my time. Fuck you. And I have to bring the average down for our reviews because now I know that people are extracting data. I cannot continue to give a higher rating to these films than IMDb is issuing. So 0 out of 10.
I do agree that this one is lower than the IMDb rating because it should be low.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a 0. I think I like...
We need to have a united front here, Michelle.
I didn't like it. I'm not going to give it like a 4 or something.
Can't allow this behavior to continue.
I
don't want to be the bad parent anymore.
I'm just saying, Paranormal Activity 4 was a family in a house and shots of empty rooms for 80 minutes. And
This
then
was
there
a
was
bit better than
at
that.
5 minutes a movie, for the last 5 minutes a movie began.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A movie started.
It did have
right?
that structure of she is pregnant.
And by the end of it, I was like, more is happening in this than in many of these other horror movies. Remember when we had to watch, what was it, The Gallows?
Yeah.
This was better than The Gallows.
Yeah.
That still puts it really low as a movie, but it's better than some of the other found footage ones. It's better than Area 51, you know? So, I don't know, 3, maybe 2.8. There we
Let's
go.
go with 2.8.
2.8 is better than
go with
3.
that.
Yeah, but it's like, it's not good. I just want to respect, like, I think there was some neat ideas, I guess, you know?
Maybe.
And that, you know, I wish the guys more success. Hey, Radio Silence, you go. I think you'll get there one day.
I hope you all crash and burn.
I think me in this room, I think you can get there.
Yeah, Michelle's got a bit of love to give. I've got nothing. I'm resentful, furious, irate.
You're
this
angry.
badly.
Well, to be fair, like as I've said at the beginning of this episode, I've learnt that like sometimes really batting for these movies and giving them a chance can really blow up in my face.
Yeah. We need to be more critical, Michelle. We got to put our foot down.
I really should never have said anything. Can we re-record the Artemis Fowl episode? My inbox is flooded. People going, I hate that movie. It ruined my childhood.
Fuck.
Well, hey, you know, that's what we thought of the movie. And that means we're at the end of the episode. But if you're like, oh no, I kind of wanted more. Well, good news for you, we have over 100 episodes. And if you want to find, keep up with us or join some of the discussions that happen, the ha-has and laughs, well, you can find it on Twitter at RateDescendPod, on TikTok at RatingDescending, or you can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com.
Or you can find us on our personal accounts. I'm on Insta under Abigail J. Ward.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Michelle.St.
And please leave us a review on anywhere you get your podcasts. We'd really appreciate
Or
it.
anywhere. Yelp, Google review.
Yeah, TripAdvisor.
I could use it, Call my mum and
Rotten Tomatoes.
and tell her you
IMDb.
think I did a neat job. Would
We
be
should
great.
set up a IMDb page for our podcast so people can leave us IMDb
It's going to be
reviews.
so low. the bit is too obvious.
0.2 out of 10.
I mean, hey, look, that was Devil's Due, but Abby, what are we watching next week?
Michelle, returning to our hot streak, next week we'll be watching 50 Shades of Grey.
Hey!
Back to
ooh,
this,
baby.
back to the trilogy.
Ooh, I'm ready to get hot and
Sexy.
Ooh,
I'm ready to fuck.
Oh, I'm coming right now.
I'm loomed up.
Oh, holy shit.
Oh,
That was
I'm
pretty
fucking,
good.
yeah.
I'm-
sorry that I couldn't last longer.
Oh my God.
That's embarrassing.
When did we get to the pool? I'm fucking drenched.